Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Red Hood. It says it right there, but over here it says it's the Gotham Knights version, which I guess is a video game that I haven't played, but it has cool character designs and I'm tempted to play it. But I'm not familiar with it, but I did look it up, and this guy is relatively accurate to the source material, short of, limited paint job and that kind of thing. We'll get into that a little bit more, but there's a lot of good stuff going on with this release. It's maybe the best Red Hood they've released so far, and that's not to say there aren't some problems, which there are, but we're going to talk about the good and the bad so that you guys can make your buying decision with some extra information. So let's go ahead and get this guy off the stand so we can take a closer look. This guy stands, let's just say 18.5 centimeters. It's pretty close, and it's going to make him pretty close to 7.25 inches. And before we get into the rest of the review, I would like to do a quick question of the day. Which version of Red Hood is your favorite? I'm not talking about the source material, I'm talking strictly about the costume design, his suit design. For me, I think I'm going to go with... I think I'll just go with the that animated one, the movie, the Under the Red Hood. Is that what it's called? I think that's what it's. No, yes, I can't remember what it's called. The first one, like the one where he became super popular. That one. That's the one. I like that one. This one's actually pretty good, though. I'm not big on the brown. I think it would have been better if he was more of a, just kept the black and gray and red color scheme. But the brown's not bad in game. It doesn't look as good here, and I'll go over why. But it's pretty good. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is, because we're going to be talking about this guy's threads a little bit, I want to talk to you guys about threads a little bit. And that means we have to talk about the sponsor of today's video, which is Into the AM. Now, the reason we're talking about it is they have a sale going on. It started on the 16th. It's going through the 20th, and it is 20 to 50% off select products. Those products include the graphic tees, which is definitely what I recommend you get, graphic tank tops, and then some of their outerwear also. But I definitely recommend the graphic tees. I always do. If you ever wanted to try them out now. Not only do they have a sale going on for the rest of the weekend, but they do have a whole bunch of new designs. This is one of them. I really like the whole, cyberpunky space vibe combo. We have a bunch of cool colors on this one, some melting planets like that. Just all kinds of really unique designs. This one's very cartoon, comic, anime-esque. They just have all kinds of stuff. A little bit of something for everyone. This is my style, but there's tons of other things. There's like hippie type stuff or skulls, whatever you want. They have all kinds of different things, and not only graphic tees, but that is what I focus on because I think they're wonderful. They fit great. I get compliments on them all the time. These are great shirts. Everybody likes them that I wear them in front of, and I love them. My wife loves them. Everybody loves them, so check them out. There is a link in the description, so go check them out. Okay, so now that we've gotten the sponsor spot out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about the aesthetic of this guy. Overall, the sculpt is really nice. It's actually quite accurate to the source material. We'll do proportions first. There's not a real big problem here other than his arms are a little bit lanky, / his legs are a little bit stumpy. I think if you just took away a little bit of arm length, you'd be good. His hands are also kind of tiny, so there's like little things, no pun intended, that are not quite right here. Most of that's not going to be noticeable once you get to posing this guy. The biggest complaint I have for this guy, the crotch gap is quite big. He's got a really big crotch gap. He's in the game, he's got like cargo, combat pants on, and this strap here, that's supposed to be mostly on inner thigh. If somebody were to be a male and to wear a strap set up like that, that would be crushing his special place. So they made his crotch really wide because of that sculpt, and it's not quite accurate. So it's a little bit weird. He should have baggier upper leg pants, and then the straps would be better placed, and it would just look better all the way around. But other than the big thigh gap, this guy looks pretty darn good. Shoulders are well placed. He's got some thickness to him front to back. It looks like he's actually a dude wearing body armor. That's pretty good. Most of the plate work and everything's in there. It's not all painted, but it is painted pretty well. And a custom paint job, of course, would bring this to life because it is fairly source accurate sculpt-wise. So I'm pretty pleased with it. I like that they molded the bat in so that it's nice and clean. You can see we do have lots of red straps in there. The face is very nicely done. I love that. It's super clean. Very, very good. Extra molded plastic and paint all the way around. It's definitely a decent attempt at this character design. I'm very pleased with it. I would say though, his crotch piece, this is just supposed to be the top part of his pants. Like, they're just regular combat pants. It doesn't match the legs. Not only are the legs shiny, but they're a slightly different color than the crotch. And that throws off the look a lot. It looks like he's got some kind of weird bodysuit on rather than combat pants and some kind of tactical vest and tactical undershirt type thing. So there's a little bit of weirdness, jankiness going on, but it does look pretty damn good overall. And like, if you just look at that, don't count the thigh gap, that's a pretty impressive looking figure, and it looks nice for the $20 price point. I think the aesthetics are pretty darn good. I'm gonna go 8 out of 10. I'd go 9 if you didn't have the big crotch gap and tiny arms and long arms, or tiny hands and long arms. Still pretty good though. Now, as far as accessories go, this is where the proverbial doo-doo hits the fan. We get a tiny fist hand and a tiny non-trigger finger, but could be kind of a trigger finger gripping hand on him in the package. Then we get 2 fake gun hands. And that is it. He doesn't come with any guns, even though he should. Of course, we know why, but that doesn't justify it, so it doesn't really matter why. But he doesn't even come with the trigger finger hands we would need to make him use accessories that we already own or that we want to buy from McFarlane in a separate pack. This guy is useless in terms of using his guns that he should have come with in the first place. That is unacceptable. The only other accessories we get are this ridiculous DC display stand and this ridiculous card that shows the figure that we just bought, only it's slightly better paint job and better lighting than you will most likely have in your display. Accessory-wise, this guy gets a negative 10 out of 10. Not only did they not give us what we need, but they didn't give us what we need to even use our own accessories. Unacceptable. The fake gun hands? What the heck is that? Maybe that's a thing from the game, but it's kind of pointless if he can't even use his regular hands. That bothers me a lot. Oh, okay. Now let's talk about the articulation on this guy. This is one of the best necks / heads that they've done. It's a double ball peg holding the head onto the neck, and he gets really, really good range. About as good as you could ask for, because he has a hood and things in the way. Otherwise, the head can look all the way back, it looks all the way down, it can lean, it can rotate. It does everything I want it to do, and it is such a good design, such a good sculpt. I love it. I love it. Very, very nicely done. Shoulders are on the big ball peg that lets him move around a little bit. Not a ton, but a little bit. They do raise up just fine. Way better than horizontal, no problem there. Full rotation, no problem there. Bicep swivel is fine. Double jointed elbow works really well. We still have these giant cavities that don't need to exist. You don't need to have a giant hole that you can stick your finger into for the elbow to work. So that's a little bit weird. Don't know why they do that other than to save a touch of plastic. But the elbow does work, so I guess that's okay. And then the wrists are on ball hinges, so they work nicely, even though the hands are super duper tiny. Like, even if you're going for a realistic look and he would have relatively small hands compared to how comic characters normally look, because real life hands don't get bigger as somebody gets more muscular. But his hands are very small. Itty bitty hands. They're so tiny. Look at that shot right there. I didn't even realize I didn't have his head in the frame right then. I looked down at the camera and saw the itty bitty hands. They're so tiny. Okay, so the torso leans back well enough. Like, it's not a ton, but that's okay. I don't need a ton of back range. I need to see him going forward. How does that work? Not great. It's a little bit. Not much at all. Side to side. Side to side works well. I like that. You get your rotation, no problems there. What about down here? So it looks to me like we have, yeah, just like a big plastic core that holds his that is his abdomen, and then this piece just sits on top. So let's see if it leans. Doesn't lean forward, doesn't really lean back too much. Side to side, yeah, it basically just rotates. You get very little range out of his torso. That sucks. This is a fairly basic design. They should have been able to get much more range out of that. Now for the hips, ugh, that crotch gap, the thigh gap is so big. Going out to the side, he's got quite the diaper. Oh no, the diaper fights the leg and the leg isn't strong enough to take it. Oh no, you can't bring his legs out to the side really. Oh, karate action red hood. Okay, so the legs don't really go out to the side effectively. Going forward, you can already see there's no place for them to go. Oh, they should have done something different here. Even if they had to put the red straps on the leg and make the crotch piece smaller, which would have been a great idea. The diaper is just too big. It's fighting the legs everywhere. So bringing the leg forward, it works a little bit, but it goes off at an angle and it's not great. It does go back a little bit. What kind of cake? The cake rating for this figure, only a 3 out of 10. Very little cake on this guy. We are doing a cake rating on all the McFarlane figures from now on because they seem to put lots of butt cheeks and lots of butt cracks on their figures. Thigh swivel is basically non-existent. Double jointed knee is not bad. It's not really how you want to do it. See how much of that knee joint is sticking out over the sculpted part? Not ideal, but it's not the worst thing ever. The lower half is done properly. You don't see the joint. So yeah, that's not the best looking knee. Also, they did it again where they painted, or they made the whole knee one piece. The knee should have been just the knee pad. That should have been black. There shouldn't be black parts of the pants next to the knee that go with the joint. It's like they're just taking a sculpt and using a standard cutter to cut the joints into the body and not reworking it at all. And that's not how you're supposed to do it. That's wrong, so it doesn't look good. Okay, and for the ankles, big old ball hinges. Technically they work, but heavy ratchets, so be aware of that, but good range. Toe joint is where it belongs, and it's not too loose, so I'll take the toe joint. So articulation on this guy, it's not the worst thing we've seen. It's certainly not the best. It's acceptable. It'll be okay. His hips are awful, though, and his torso is not good, so that's going to hinder him quite a bit. It'll be okay. For a guy that kind of just stands and shoots mostly, it would have been okay, but since he doesn't have shooty hands or shooties with him, I don't know what you're going to do with this figure other than just kind of stand him there and make him look cool. So articulation, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. The hips are terrible and the torso is not good. Alright, time for a final verdict on this release. It's a really cool character design and they came really close on the sculpt, like impressively close. I like that a whole bunch. The paints are definitely good enough to get it by, but the tiny hands, lack of gun accessories, lack of gun hands, and poor articulation execution it's really what's holding this figure back. I'm going to give this guy a generous overall rating of 7 out of 10. I think most of you will be okay sticking him on a shelf and making him look cool, but it just doesn't execute where it's supposed to in the action figure department. This is going to be a standstill hero pose statue with no accessories, and tiny hands and a big thigh gap. So yeah, it's just another one of the things from McFarlane Toys where it's like they spent all the money. Everything they needed to do was in here. They just didn't do it properly. It's so strange. All of the money that they spent could have been spent doing it the right way. It wouldn't have cost them any more. Like, it doesn't cost them more to sculpt the strap on the leg rather than on the diaper, so that the legs have proper range and we don't have a giant thigh gap and the diaper isn't too big. That doesn't cost them any more. It's like 2 decisions worth of decision making. They had to sculpt it on here, or they had to sculpt it on here. So that time is already spent, and the parts are already there. So it wouldn't have cost them anything, and it would have solved 2 problems, kind of 3. Would have fixed the thigh gap, would have fixed the sculpt of the straps being wrong, and it would have fixed the sculpt of the legs looking better, so I'm counting that as 1. And it would have fixed the range for the hips and the diaper in conjunction. It's like so easy to fix these problems that they should just be doing it. They're already spending the money on these new molds. So very frustrating for me. So yeah, final verdict of 7 out of 10. That seems fair enough for me. Let me know how you guys feel about everything I talked about in the video. I do pin comments now if it's not a sale video, if it's not a sponsored video. So if it was a sponsored video, then there won't be a pinned comment. If it isn't, then there will be a pinned comment, and it might be yours if you say something clever or funny or whatever. So thanks for watching, guys. If you liked the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you might want to. I have new videos almost every single day, and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. In the meantime, keep collecting.